All right. Well, hello everybody. Since I talked to you guys last, I've been working on the 1977 KZ400 because I'm still battling trying to get some easy to use editing software that I can understand. I'm pretty computer illiterate. Amazingly, for 18 years I installed network systems, but it was the infrastructure, not the actual that stuff. So that being said, I'm pretty illiterate when it comes to that stuff, and I have a really hard time with some of the programs on there. This morning I downloaded a new version of iMovie onto my laptop, and so what I'm going to do is probably lose a lot of videos, but I am going to do a video, shut it off, turn the camera back on, that kind of stuff. I don't have the capability of pausing my iPhone that I'm recording on. I think 14 and newer is the only ones you can do that on. So I am going to, I'm at the point where in the very first picture you saw, yesterday I stripped down the, excuse me, the KZ400 down to basically a rolling frame with a motor in it. And being an old bastard the way I am, back in the day I would have just squatted over the bike, lifted the motor out, and no harm, no foul. But I don't have the juice I used to have, and I got to be smart because I'm old. It is what it is. I'll be 68 this coming August, so so. But what I'm going to do is I have an overhead sliding winch, and I'll show you here. I slapped a couple of soft ties around the motor, and I'm going to see if I can lift it up enough where I can slide it out, because it's on a sliding rail, and see if that works. You may see me, might be pretty comical, and see me grunting and cursing and fighting it, but who knows, it might work nicely. But again, I just don't have the juice to pick up these motors anymore. Such a shame. Getting old sucks. But so I'll get started. Like I say, this might be a comedy of errors, but it is what it is. We're very professional here at the Oldie Box Garage. If you guys have a better way of doing this stuff next to not just huffing it out of there with strength, let me know. I'm willing to learn, and I'm an old bastard, but you can teach an old dog new tricks as far as I'm concerned. So this is going to be my attempt at doing that, and I'll pan up to my little overhead winch, and then I'll have to keep on readjusting the camera because it doesn't give a wide enough field of shot where you can actually see what's going on. So, okay, I'm going to, I'll do a quick little pan down to the bike so you can see where I'm at on that, and then I'll get the winch over here and bring it down. So, that is where the bike stands right now, and as you can see, I've just got this wrapped around the motor. I'm hoping that it'll pick it up enough where that I can, whether I move the frame out of it or, finagle it. My biggest, because I just don't obviously want it to hit the ground. These are strong enough where once it's supported by the winch, it ain't going to hit the ground, but I don't want to smash fingers. As you can see, the claws are bad enough as it is. In the winter time, because I have a white beard, they call me Santa Claus. Sons of bitches. But so I'll pan up to the winch. You can see me doing that, and then we can laugh together. All right. So. Let's see here. So my overhead winch is right up there. You can see it over there. And so let me get all this out of here. I should have done this before I started talking to you. So this is a Harbor Freight winch that I had bought for, I don't know, 79 bucks. I've been using it for 20 years. And this is a barn door slider. It's enabled me, I can pick up a whole motorcycle with it if need be. But I use it a lot of times if I want to pull a front tire off a bike or a dirt bike. I can stand it on its ass and pull it off without having to get a center stand or anything like that. So, all right. This ought to be funny. All right, let me get around. I'll pan back down so you can see what the hell I'm doing. There you go. So this is untested, but let's see if I can get this up a little higher. So it grabs up around. The higher on the motor it grabs, the better off I think I'm going to be. But, all right, so it's gonna take the weight of the motor now, and because the airbox is in the way, I've been battling to get that airbox out of the frame, but maybe I have to have the motor out and it'll slide out this way, I don't know, or I have to take the rear wheel off, I don't know, but I'll figure that out. It's they put them in there by magic, black magic, I actually think, at the factory. All right, here we go. All right. Actually, I got to do. Let me pick it up this way. I guess this is going to be funny. Look at that, that's not too bad. That's not bad. Oh geez. Wow. Alright, picking it up. Well, that was fucking the tits. You can see I can roll it out of the way, or whatever I need to do. So let me drop it down to the ground. It is still full of oil. Well, that was, they say, work smart, not hard. Now, I'm sure putting it back in is not going to be as seamless. But I'll probably, if it, gets to be too much of a chore, I'll get somebody over here to help me get it back in there. And of course, at that point, I will have, let me turn this up a little bit. There we go. At that point, I will have the engine cases all polished. It's going to take a lot of work to get this motor looking good. I don't want to have to, there's no reason, I should say, to break the motor down, pull cases and stuff like that, because then, it's all, you got to buy a gasket kit and all that other stuff. And why disturb something that is, liquid tight at this point? I will eventually order a full gasket kit for it. I just like to have them on hand for every bike I own. You never know if you have a failure, a stator, a clutch pack, whatever it may be. It's nice to have them on hand, so when you run into an issue, you're not waiting a week and not getting anything done. Well, this project's going to take a while, so I think there'll always be something to do. It'll be a really pretty motor. I've cleaned it up a little bit using Napa makes a product called aluminum brightener, is what it's called, and it is a game changer. I started using it on my Trans Am wheels and stuff like that, for brake dust, that kind of stuff. But also, you get oxidation. You spray that on there, and it starts to foam up a little bit. And it melts off all the crap. You can have years of black brake dust on your rims, and it washes right off. It's actually amazing. But on these old motors, when they sit for a long time, they oxidize, and it'll be a white oxidation all over the aluminum. And you know, it's a lot of wire brushing and stuff like that to get that off. It's a lot of work. You spray that stuff on there, and it literally, give it a few minutes, and you hose it off with a hose, and it's down to what you see right now. And this was pretty white with oxidation. I mean, it would come on your hands when you wipe the motor. This motorcycle was, I think I mentioned, in Springfield, Massachusetts, in a wooden garage that the roof had collapsed down to the point where it was a V like that. Actually, that one of those little dents in the gas tank is from one of the roof joints coming down on the bike. And I think really the bike was holding up the roof at that point. It was gonna, that winter I'm sure it collapsed. So I ended up having to bring a floor jack with a piece of pipe and, you know, lift the roof up, and enough where we could get the bike out, and it was sunk right into the ground, and the front wheel was brake was seized. So it was no small undertaking. And the gentleman that was helping me, which was the original owner's son, he was pretty sickly and having a hard time. So it was a lot of work for me. But we got it out of there, and I actually left. It was his floor jack, and left the roof of the garage kind of hoisted up, because it was, like I say, that winter I can't imagine it's still standing. It had completely collapsed, and that was one of the reasons why he wanted to get rid of the bike, because it was going to destroy the motorcycle. It was his dad's bike, you know, when I actually got there and saw the bike, it was way rougher than I had anticipated. And I think he was asking maybe, I don't know, $300 or something. I can't remember now. It's been a while. And I kind of checked it out, and again, it was big Vetter, you know, fairing on its saddlebags, big sissy bow with a trunk on it. It looked pretty bad, and that stuff had taken the brunt of the roof coming down and cracked some of that stuff. So I just told him, you know, with all due respect to you, I said, I think I'm going to walk away on this one. It's a little more work entailed than I wanted to get into. And I started walking to my truck, and, oh, wait a minute, please. He says, you know, he says, just take it. He says, if we could just get out, just take it. He says, I don't want it to go to waste. He says, you could sell it for parts. And I, you know, I told him, I said, I'm not trying to play you. I says, I said, that's all I can do. I says, I'll give you $50 for the bike, and I says, I'll haul it out of here for you. I says, and I'll make a determination. I says, if I want to go forward with it at that point, or just sell it for parts. And he was, you know, thankful. And again, you know, I told him, I said, I'm not trying to play you, you know, and knock the price down. I says, but she's pretty rough. And he says, yeah. He says, now that I see it up in the daytime, it's a little rougher, he says, than I remember too. So he was pretty happy to get it out of there. And when I did get it home and stripped all of the crap off the motorcycle, washed it down, it had potential. And so I sent him pictures of the bike all stripped down and washed. And he thanked me very much. He says, he grew up riding on the back of it with his dad, they toured all over on the Berkshires and that kind of stuff. And so it was pretty cool to hear the story about it. But after his dad passed, it got parked, and that was the end of it. So that's how I came upon the bike. But as you can see, I had to spend the time yesterday stripping it down. You know, you can see the electrics out of it, foot pegs and exhaust and all that stuff to get it ready, so that I can take the rest of it off of it and hang the frame, sand it down, and paint the frame. I use Rust-Oleum or Krylon high temperature engine paint is what I use, and I find that the gasoline, if it gets on, it doesn't bother it, and it's almost like a powder coat finish as far as a rattle can would be. But you know, probably 80% of the frame you won't see once all the bits are on the motorcycle. But it's knowing that it's right, and the bits that you can see, which is all these with a fork leg, I'm sorry, the foot pegs, the rear foot pegs are, those I'm gonna have to, I'll probably have to sandblast that because it's really got some pitting. But it'll look nice, and again, the gas tank's gonna be buffed and shine, but it's still gonna have the dingers in it and some little rust, specks in it. It is what it is. I think it just adds to the coolness of the bike. Yeah, it'll be neat, but it's going to be a lot of work, and being an old bastard, I'm living on Social Security. You know, when I was working and had income, I had disposable cash on hand to do these restorations. So if I needed a part, I ordered it. No big deal. I can. Now it's do I order the part or to buy groceries? And that's just a reality. Whether it's smart or stupid, I don't know. I chose living on throughout my life. I saved some money. I put away some saves and stuff like that. But I used to make very good money, and I could have squirreled away enough where my retirement would have been, pretty comfortable. But I chose to get up every morning and jump on a motorcycle and go cross country and buy motorcycles and go racing, stuff like that. The way I kind of look at life is, live today. You don't know tomorrow, you could be gone. Hell, I had a heart attack last year. Mr. Bulletproof, yeah, I'm an older guy, but you never know. So my choice was to live. And whether or not that was smart as far as having money, I have no regrets, and I do it all over again. So getting back to this, it'll take some time. Really, on this motorcycle, I'll have to source a new seat, because the seat has that weird step-up seat. Got to go. I got to get the rear shocks are rusted beyond bringing them back. Normal stuff, fork seals, tires, the paint and gasket kits, carb kits, just the normal stuff that you'll need, but it all adds up, luckily summertime, so I'm not dealing with heating oil, but it's just a reality of living on Social Security. It's and on top of doing these, I still want to go out and ride. I want to go on weekend trips with the boys, and we camp, and we'll stay in a hotel or whatever and go out to dinner. And so if it's a matter of saying, telling the boys, yeah, I'm not going to go and do a weekend overnighter up in Vermont because I have to buy freaking fork seals for the KZ. That ain't happening. These things get done when they get done. Sometimes they go along pretty fast, but this one's going to it'll take months and months to get this done. Luckily, I suffer from OCD, so once I get a taste of blood, I'm pretty tenacious. But so that being said, that's it. So if you guys have any suggestions or whatever you guys do, or if you have one of these old bikes, let me know. I'm curious to see, if you have old KZ400s. I'd like to hear about them or see some pics. It's neat to see other people's bikes, and if they restored them or if they had them all their life or whatever it may be. That's what I do. I go on there and search people's old bikes, and I like reading about the story, and or even watching a restoration, which is sometimes it's over the course of months and months you're following somebody, just to see their progress. But they're wicked smart and they know how to edit, which that's going to be my Achilles heel. I got to figure that all out. And once I can do that, then I think it'll be a cakewalk doing all this, because I can do a quick shot of me, you know, polishing cases on this thing and not having you sit there and look at me for 4 hours while I do cases, and be able to fade out and fade back in with the, you know, with the piece almost done. That's the only way you can do it. Otherwise, you guys start fucking bleeding from your eyes watching me polish aluminum. Okay, well, that is my story. I'm very, very happy that came out of there that easy. I'm going to get the bike back up on the bench and take some other bits off, and I'm going to do a series of small videos, not as long as this one, and curse and yell and swear at my computer tonight and see if I can figure out that new iMovie program that I downloaded. So if you see me with black eyes that I'll give myself when I'm doing this next time you see me, then you'll know why. So, all right, well, let me come over here. I'm going to jiggle the camera like I always do and look at the thing and say thank you very much.